Hello everybody and welcome to Nathan on Shuffle and to my latest episode of New Music Weekly, the show where I give you guys the prog news headlines for the week, introduce you guys to a curated list of prog singles to listen to, and just give you updates on the channel and what's happening here with Nathan on Shuffle. It's been a great week for the channel. I'm really excited to dive into the news. There's some really cool items, especially my top single, which I'll get to shortly. So hopefully you guys will enjoy the ride, and if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. It helps me. Any comments or likes are also much appreciated, but mostly just sit back and enjoy the prog news for the week. So the first prog news quick hit that I wanted to mention is there's a new book series of Yes album listening guides announced, beginning with Tales from Topographic Oceans, an interesting starting point, a little bit of a controversial Yes album for many that just don't seem to get this one, but those who love it really love it. So I'm in the camp of really loving Tales. I think it's one of their premium prog albums. This is following the book The Tormato Story. The writer is Kevin Mulrin. This is the first in his upcoming series covering the 1973 epic double album Tales from Topographic Oceans, delving into context and details of writing and rehearsals, recording process, instruments and techniques, critical and fan reaction, aspects of the following tour. So a pretty comprehensive study of that period of the band. It sounds like he's also interviewed several people around that time, including co-author Steve Howe as part of the project, and available separately as a 40-page magazine-style full-color supplement with annotated black and white and color photos. So the pre-sale is happening now for those who are subscribed to the 5% for Something e-newsletter, which is available at the website tormatobook.com. So you can sign up for that e-newsletter and get advanced pre-sale and all that kind of stuff. So if you're interested in that, if that sounds like a book that you may like, I thought that would be worth bringing attention to since I'm a huge Yes fan. Second on the news list here is King Crimson announcing their 50th anniversary reissue of Red. This is a 4-disc 50th anniversary edition of their classic 1974 album, reissued through DGM and Panegyric Records on October 11th. A lot of stuff here involved in the package. We've got double CD Blu-ray edition of the reissue featuring new mixes of the album in Dolby Atmos, 5.1 DTS HD, surround and high-res stereo by Steven Wilson, new Elemental mixes in high-res stereo by David Singleton, number of extra tracks drawn from the existing session reels mixed by David Singleton, all 3 mixes of the live album USA in high-res stereo, 5 audio restored bootleg concert recordings from the 1974 US tour, making their debut also on disc, and the audio restored bootleg of the band's final US show in Central Park in New York City on July 1st, 1974, as well as new stereo and instrumental mixes by Steven Wilson and Elemental mixes, and a sequence of studio recordings detailing the making of Starless mixed by David Singleton. So huge package, a lot of different variations and different things that you could expect in the packaging. A double vinyl version of the set also is available, 2 versions of Red, with one of Wilson's new stereo makes and the other Singleton's Elemental makes. So a lot of different things you can enjoy if you're a fan of this album. They've done so many different issues of this album, but I guess why not add another one to the mix, right? So here's another edition of King Crimson's Red, one of the most important seminal prog albums, I think, in the 70s. So number 3, the band Black Midi announced that they're on an indefinite hiatus. This is a more modern prog band from the UK in that kind of post-punk scene, but doing a lot of cool, quirky, proggy stuff. They've done 3 albums at this point, but it sounds like they're going to be on hold or perhaps done for good. At least that's what the band members seem to be signaling. Singer and guitarist Jordi Griep announced that the band had split following what appeared to be a confirmation from bassist Cameron Picton, and then that was followed by an official statement from the band's management saying that they were on an indefinite hiatus. So sounds like there's some interesting rumblings over there. I believe some of those members are doing some solo work, so basically it's a pause at the very least while they work on solo work, but it does sound like for the foreseeable future that Black Midi is pretty much finished as a group, which is unfortunate considering the strength of their 3 albums that they released. But that's the news. But you can look into their solo works if you still want to see what they're doing. Griep announced a new solo project, Jordi Griep and the Swing Boys. So that should be coming out at some point. Cameron Picton is also working on a new project entitled Camera Picture with former guitarist Matt Kwansniewski. So should be interesting to see what these guys come up with in different contexts. And then finally, another quick news item. Tiger Moth Tales is releasing a brand new reissue of Cocoon to celebrate their 10th anniversary of that album. So Tiger Moth Tales is the project of Peter Jones, was part of like a pop duo, it seems, and appeared on X Factor and did stuff in the pop world before transitioning in 2013 into the prog sphere with Tiger Moth Tales, and also joining a lot of prestigious bands. He joins Camel. He's a part of Camel now. Part of Cyan, who have a cool new release out right now, a little bit of an EP bonus to their previous Pictures from the Other Side called Guardians. So that's something he's majorly a part of, and then he's been performing with It Bites, I believe the Francis Dunnery version of It Bites. So a lot of activity from Peter Jones in the prog space, but they're releasing a CD and double-colored vinyl edition with a new track called Return to Chigwick. Should be a really cool track, an autobiographical song where Peter Jones is celebrating his fans for a decade of Tiger Moth Tales. An additional CD, DVD of previously unreleased material inside the Cocoon will also be released, containing an audio documentary produced by Jones and includes behind-the-scenes audio from Cocoon's creation and previously unreleased live tracks. So those are some interesting news items, but let's get into the prog singles list, which is a little bit expanded. I'll go quickly through some of the later items that are kind of holdovers because I didn't do a show last weekend. So we're going to have quite an expansive list here. But the main prog single of the week, and one of the biggest headlines for me of prog news, is the new Frost track, Life in the Wires Part 1. UK progressive rockers Frost are releasing a new double concept album called Life in the Wires. It's coming out October 18th this year via Inside Out Music. And you get your first taste of the album with Life in the Wires Part 1, which is a fantastic, very much in the vein of what they've been doing with Day and Age. It sounds like for this new album, they're taking a little bit of inspiration from Milliontown, their first album, their debut, which was pretty widely heralded as one of their best works. It's one of my favorite albums in the modern prog scene, so I think it's well worth checking out if you're not familiar. But this is going to be a fantastic release, a big double album, a concept record, sounds really fun. It's kind of a continuation from the storyline developed in Day and Age, like that kind of set the scene, and now we're going to get into a full concept album storyline in that world that was set up in Day and Age. The classic Frost lineup is here: John Mitchell, bassist Nathan King, and drummer Craig Blundell, obviously joining Jim Godfrey, who's always been the big head member of the group. So it should be pretty fun. It's available now for pre-orders as well as a limited 2 CD, gatefold 180 gram 2 LP, and as a digital album with subtle differences apparently across the different formats for added interest if you want to somewhat collect them all. So definitely go out and check at least that track and check the pre-orders and the information. They go into a little bit of detail in the press release about the concept, which I won't dive too deeply here, but I'm sure I'll get into when I review the album. So should be really cool, dealing with kind of AI and more of a futuristic setting, so to speak. Number 2 track, Leprous's Like a Sunken Ship. This is from their upcoming 8th studio album, Melodies of Atonement, releasing on August 30th. Pretty powerful and explosive song here, really exciting. Has a little bit of like a harsher vocal side, but it's just a really powerful song and showcases them getting into this kind of powerful, heavier side of the band on their new record. Really fun stuff. And they also have some tour dates that they have announced. The band has announced 7 tour dates, I believe, across Europe for next year, where they're going to be playing Melodies of Atonement live and fan favorites as well. And they're also doing a U.S. tour through September into October this year. So a lot of activity from Leprous. Number 3, David Gilmour has a track, Dark and Velvet Night, which is coming off of his album Luck and Strange, which is going to be released September 6th on Sony Music. This was written by David Gilmour and Polly Sampson. Apparently it was from a poem Polly had written to celebrate their wedding anniversary, and David Gilmour put the music to it. So really beautiful track, really cool and interesting. Definitely worth checking out from this progressive luminary. Of course, the guitarist of Pink Floyd. And it's cool to see him doing some new solo material. Number 4, I have Vola. I don't know how we got here. This is a Danish/Swedish prog metal band who are coming out with a new studio album, Friend of a Phantom, on Mascot Records on November 1st. And this is a track that interweaves stories about tragic events in society with a story about a relationship dying out. Seeks to portray the feeling of disbelief that follows when something valuable vanishes right in front of us. So a heartfelt, kind of emotional track, but with that Vola spin, some really cool prog metal of a modern variety that I think many of you would like. Nightwish has a new track that came out not too long ago, The Day Of. It's a symphonic and choir stack track from their upcoming album Yesterwind, which will be released September 20th via Nuclear Blast. Should be a really cool album. I'm looking forward to it. This is their second single from it. The other was called Perfume of the Timeless. And it seems like it's going to be a really solid release. I'm excited by what I'm hearing from them. Maybe not pure prog like what I talk about normally, but really cool, great symphonic metal. Me and Jen have reacted to them and have really enjoyed their stuff, so I like to mention them. Then a couple of other bonusy items. I've got Delving and their track Omnipresence. This is an instrumental psych kraut prog band headed by Elder frontman Nick DeSalvo. So if you like Elder, this is something up your alley. Instrumental, cool track from them I think you might enjoy. Dilemma is another modern prog band coming out with their track Thunder, which will be on their album The Purpose Paradox, coming out September 20th. So this is a cool modern track to check out. A really expansive kind of arena rock, big anthemic track. I think it's really cool. Showcasing some cool sides of the band. I wanted to highlight King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Had a new album that dropped, and I'm putting Hog Calling Contest on my list here. Really cool track. More of like a blues rock kind of flavor, but King Gizzard do a lot of different music all over the map. They're doing a lot of different things, so I thought it would be cool to highlight them and their latest record. And then Mir, which I'm going to be talking about this week, but I thought I'd slide their track in here today, tonight, tomorrow that they released. Beautiful track, showcases some really great sides to the band. Newt's vocals are just like heavenly. It's almost like a Broadway show number, but done in a more proggy style, and it's really beautifully done. Just a really heartfelt ballad with a big, majestic ending. So really cool tracks on my list here. That's 9 total. So I hope you guys will enjoy something from this list. And as for the channel itself, to dive into it, been a cool week. I did a album review of the new Ritual album, The Story of Mr. Bogued Part 1, which is now out, so go check that one out. Very much in the classic symphonic prog vein. Reminds me of like The Best of Yes and Gentle Giant in a short concept album that's really fun to explore. Very fantastical, but grounded in a kind of a modern, not modern, but in a 19th century London type setting. Really cool and well worth your attention. And then I did a top 5 of the top 5 polarizing prog bands, which I thought was a lot of fun to put together. A lot of comments on that one. Thank you guys for watching that one. I've been really enjoying returning to the top 5 series. I may take a slight break from it this week, but I'm going to be continuing doing more of those top 5s because these last 2 have done really well. So thank you guys for your support. And when I said polarizing prog bands, I kind of mean bands that are hard to get into, that have kind of strange quirks to them that kind of keep a lot of people away and make people not care for them quite so much. I wasn't necessarily saying they're bands that are polarizing to me or that I don't care for, but I just thought it would be an interesting take on different prog bands that I've seen people struggle with when I've talked about them on the channel, where a lot of people come on board and say, oh, I just can't get into this one. So thought that would be an interesting concept. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Next week I have a stellar album review, one that I really want everyone to check out. One of my favorite albums of this year, maybe my top favorite album of the year. Mir's Wheels Within Wheels is just a fantastic record, and I'm going to be talking about it in depth this week for sure. And then I'm not quite sure yet if I'm going to be doing another video or not. I'm considering a vinyl haul style video, but I'm not sure if I'm going to have the time to put that together quite this week, so that may be pushed into another week, but we'll kind of see, play it by ear. And so, but thank you guys so much for supporting me. Check out my videos if you haven't yet. I also did a Prog Song Sunday this last Sunday with Jana. We covered Big Big Trains, The Last Rebreather, so check that out also if you haven't yet. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys continuing to follow and support my channel. So hopefully you guys have a great weekend, and I'll catch you guys in future episodes. Enjoy the music, everybody.